Welcome to another episode of Comic Book Flashback. I'm Marlacross316, and we are looking at the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 54. This issue came out in November of 1967, and we are continuing the storyline with the return of Doctor Octopus in this story. We have Doctor Octopus, as we recall from last issue. He has taken up residence in Anna Watson's house. And so we have the threat of Doctor Octopus. He is living in the same house with Peter Parker's aunt. That's Aunt May here. What the heck is going to happen next as we continue the story here? So don't click away, and also go ahead and like this issue. And let's go ahead and get started. Today's title is The Tentacles and the Trap. And so we have, remember, Doctor Octopus thinking that he has killed Spider-Man from last issue. He set up that lifelike decoy to basically trick Spider-Man, and an explosion went off. But of course, we know that Spider-Man survived that attack. But also, we have, before we get started, we need to give credit where credit is due. And so we have Stan the Man Lee, who wrote this issue, John Ringading Ramita doing the artwork, Mickey DeMeo doing the inking, and then Sam Rosen on the lettering page. And so we remember from way back in Spidey Annual number 1, Aunt May met Dr. Octopus for the first time. And so she is more than welcome to allow him into her house. But she also recalls how he is also wanted for the police. And so Dr. Octopus here basically makes up the story that he's the hero in all this, and that Spider-Man's the villain, and he's basically been trying to stop Spider-Man from, that whole encounter at the Science Expo from last issue. So here we go. We have Aunt May. She welcomes him with open arms and allows Dr. Octopus to take his residence to start renting a room in Anna Watson's house. Now, we also learned from this issue that Anna Watson is out of town, so Aunt May is by herself with this arch villain. And so Spider-Man, he's looking throughout the city. He can't find Dr. Octopus. And so he just goes back to his pad with Harry Osborn. He notices that Harry Osborn is not at the place. He calls Aunt May, has her on the phone, while Dr. Octopus goes up to his room. And of course, we know that he is up to no good. So the minute that he takes his luggage upstairs, he places it down on the bed, and of course, he packed his tentacles here. And so now he's basically going to set up base here, and he's going to operate undercover here in this room here to basically alert his minions here. We recall from issues 31 through 33 that whole Master Planner storyline. Well, some of his men are still working for Dr. Octopus. They've been waiting to basically hear from him for quite some time, and so now Dr. Octopus is reaching out to his old minions here, and they're going to be doing the dirty work of basically retrieving materials that Dr. Octopus needs here. So while Dr. Octopus is on the phone, or basically looking and talking through the screen, it's interfering with the electrical, like the TV, and so Aunt May notices it. We go back now, we're at Peter Parker and Harry Osborn's pad. Harry Osborn asks if Peter wants some breakfast. And we recall from last issue that Harry Osborn is mad at Peter Parker because Peter Parker just doesn't really seem to be talking with Harry Osborn that much. Peter Parker's always busy being Spider-Man, so Harry Osborn never sees Peter Parker. He's basically just allowing Peter Parker to live in the same apartment with him, but they barely even talk with each other. So we have Harry Osborn being very mad with Harry Osborn. We also remember from issue number 51 that we had the first appearance of Joe Robertson. And so Peter Parker, for the first time, meets Joe Robertson. He is the new city editor for the Daily Bugle. And so Joe Robertson gets very well acquainted with Peter Parker. So that's pretty cool. And we also see that Peter Parker, on his way to Aunt May's house, is also going to meet Gwen Stacy and Mary Jane. Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy have become good friends as of late, and it looks like they are basically having a tug of war over Peter Parker. Both the ladies have an attraction towards Peter Parker. I would say more so with Gwen Stacy, as we've seen from last issue, as Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy went to that science expo. But we do know that Mary Jane and Peter Parker have dated in the past as well. Now, Peter Parker goes to Anna Watson's house, and upon arriving, he realizes that a spider sense is going off, and of course, lo and behold, we see that Doctor Octopus is having tea with Peter Parker's aunt. And so he's like, you're Doctor Octopus, and you're the new boarder? And then he's telling Aunt May, he's a criminal, he's a deadly menace. And then Doctor Octopus is now, of course, he's just being over emotional, let me talk with him. And so we have Aunt May here, and she's like, he is an honored guest here, and you need to be very respectful. So we have Dr. Octopus, so let me talk to him, man to man. And then Dr. Octopus basically gets him in secret and basically says, now look, you punk kid, the minute you tell the cops that I'm here, or you alert the papers, or you tell your aunt who I really am, then you're out for the count. You're done. And so we see that Peter Parker he's like, this is a living nightmare. How could this be happening? We have my deadliest enemy living with my aunt. This is awful. So Peter Parker, he can't do nothing about this. He walks out of Anna Watson's house. He's looking, he's like, I just gotta wait. And so nightfall comes. He changes to Spider-Man. He notices that somebody delivers something to Doctor Octopus. So Doctor Octopus is working on some experiments in the room here, when all of a sudden Spider-Man's signal is shown on the wall. He's like, no, it's impossible. I killed him. He's dead. And so we have Spider-Man here, and basically now Dr. Octopus understands that he has Spider-Man on the trail here, and it's just not good. So he's going to have to alert his minions to attack Spider-Man. And within a minute's notice, we see that the minions arrive at Anna Watson's house and attack Spider-Man here. So all these garbed minions of Dr. Octopus begin to tackle Spider-Man, and it begins to cause a crowd to circulate here. And so we have all the neighbors start to come over. We have this one guy shoot Spider-Man with this knockout gas, but it seems to affect Spider-Man for a minute there. But again, these guys seem to just can't take down Spider-Man. These guys are trying their best. Dr. Octopus is watching from the window. He notices that these guys are not capable of stopping Spider-Man. And all the crowd here are basically saying Spider-Man's a menace. He needs to be locked up. We have the police show up on the scene. And so Spider-Man now, he's going to go after Dr. Octopus, as he knows that Aunt May is in the crowd of people. So Spider-Man goes, and he's going to go crash into the window here. And here we go. We're going to see Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus fight it out right here in this room. And Spider-Man tries to play possum here, and then he pretty much lashes out on Dr. Octopus here and lands one good punch, but all of a sudden we see Aunt May. She's going to go upstairs. She's going to witness the battle between Dr. Octopus and Spider-Man, and then she faints. So then Dr. Octopus is willing to get away. He's willing to continue to fight Spider-Man, but Spider-Man is going to stay behind, as he knows that Aunt May's life is in very grave danger here. And Peter Parker, he takes off the Spider-Man mask. He says, wake up, Aunt May, wake up. And so then he calls Dr. Bromwell. Dr. Bromwell comes on the scene. Peter Parker gets back into his civilian clothes. And Dr. Bromwell asks Peter Parker, how did this all happen? And of course he can't tell Dr. Bromwell that it was because of Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus. And so he says that Aunt May should be able to pull through, but one more sudden shock and that could be fatal. And so Peter Parker, very frustrated, he's like, I'm going to get Dr. Octopus because of this. He's not going to menace no one ever again. And so we have that ongoing, right here, this ongoing storyline here with Dr. Octopus. We'll see what happens next issue as we look at issue number 55, Will Spider-Man be able to stop the threat of Doctor Octopus? We'll see all that next issue. I hope to see you there. And until next time, keep reading comics.